here. I didn't come with any paper tonight because when I come with paper and pen, my staff get nervous, Miss Rosie gets nervous because that means something is due or I'm gonna not stop talking. So I promised Miss Rosie I would keep it brief because I know that after a year of my nagging and calling you, the last thing you want to hear is, you know, me up here for an extended period of time. I've had to call you about signing up your conferences and you know, sending in your mileage, which, Pastor Johnson, you still are #1 in the circuit for foster parents to turn in their mileage the latest. You know, I had to call you. You had to hear me say no to overcounts. And so tonight, I don't want to be here very long. I first want to tell you that we're here to applaud your heroic, our heroic efforts tonight. I appreciate all the calls that, we make to you at 2 o'clock in the morning and you say yes. I wanted to tell you that my staff has asked me to take it down a notch with the time frames and the mileages because they say, you're really intense. And I said, all right, I'll back up and I'll take it down a notch because I don't want to scare Pastor Johnson. He's got 13 kids, so we don't want to run him off. But I tried and I can't. I cannot take it down a notch because I come from really intense parents. And they never made any apologies for being intense. And so I just thought it was always okay to put that healthy pressure, is what they called it. So I stick to it. And you would think that with intense parents, I would have wanted to go the opposite way, but I kind of didn't. I mean, growing up in our house was, if I could describe it, was like growing up in Washington, D.C. My father is the chief executive and my mother is the Speaker of the House. And they ran a very lean government, lean and efficient. For holidays, and we didn't get gadgets and toys and iPhones. No, we got books and electronics, and we got coupons for tutoring class and math class and driving school and summer school and etiquette school. Anything related to school, we got it. We were inside doing our homework when everybody else was out playing on winter break and weekends and holidays, and then I don't want to exaggerate, on Sundays we went to Sunday school and vacation Bible school in the summer, so I don't really want to lie on them. But you would think that with such intense parents, they would put a lot of restraints on me in regards to things I wanted to do, and surprisingly they didn't. Any sort of venture my sisters and I put our hand to, they rarely said no, and looking back, I wish they would have exercised some restraint with me. I'll give you an example. There was a period in my life where I don't know how, I don't know why it happened. Maybe because my mom was in the church choir, I thought I could join the children's choir at church. And I'll preface it by saying, it was a bad idea. Imagine my nasally voice calling you about mileage singing. So it was bad, and my parents, who are educated adults, and they're nice people, they never said, why don't you try something else? No. They drove me to every Sunday school, after session, rehearsal, whatever it was, and I stayed in it, and I enjoyed it, and nobody ever stopped me. Nobody ever said, you don't really sound that great. And come now time for the annual play, and I don't know if it was Easter, I don't know if it was Christmas, I don't remember. And once again, I don't know how this happened, but I got a solo part. It was me and 3 other little girls, and of course, I couldn't remember what their roles were. And once again, the intense parents that I had did not say, why don't you sit this one out? No, I went to rehearsal, and it was the night of the play, and remember that song, This Little Light of Mine? Well, that was the song we had to sing, and it was at our church, and I grew up in the islands, so our church was really big for an island church, but it was probably the size of this room, and the back doors were right back there, and there were windows, and it was an open plan, and the windows would open for the breeze to come in, and so it's very common that, you'd sit in a church service, and the doors and the windows would be open. So the night of the play, I'm on the side of the stage, waiting to get up to it's my turn, me and these other little girls, and I'm on the side of the stage, and the power goes out. In the islands, it's not a big deal. The power goes out, you just wait 30 minutes, an hour, and it'll come back on. But we didn't have 30 minutes that night. We had a play to conduct. And I got this sinking feeling in my stomach that I was not going to be able to sing my solo. In hindsight, I think it was the good Lord then saying, don't get on the stage. Anyhow, so the adults are shuffling around. What should we do? Do we can't call this off? And just as they were about to turn me around and say, yeah, you got to go back to your seat, the back doors of the church flung open, and these 2 floodlights came right down the church and lit up the church pretty well. Some guy had pulled his car up to the back of the church and just hit a light, and the light came right to the center stage. And guess what? That was my sign from God. It was my time to get on there. So, the adults thought, well, this is going to work. So we got on, and I remember standing there just kind of like this, and it was so bad. It sounded like I was trying to bathe a cat. It was bad, and I remember singing This Little Light of Mine, and we got off the stage, and my mom was waiting for me, and she said, come on, because I think she had a part in the play as well, so she took me back to my seat. It was still dark, and she said, sit here, and your father will be here soon. And when my mother told you to sit there in a dark alley, you sit. So I sat, and then by then the lights had come back on, and my dad came and sat next to me in the pew, and that man looked at me in my face that night in the church pew and just lied and said, good job, you did really good. And I thought, well, how do you know you weren't here? And he said, no, I was here. I was the guy in the back that hit the lights so you could get on the stage. Great. And in that moment, I don't know what my reaction was. 6, 7, I don't remember. But I'll tell you what my reaction is now. My life really has been a series of me wanting to do things and hang my hat where my hand really can't reach. A lot of things I wanted to do that I really don't know if I have the talent for, but I never really knew it because I was never really told, hey, you can't do it. You can get on that stage. And see, our kids that come into care, they're no different from me. There's many days that they want to get on the stage of life, and they're unsure because it's so dim if they really can do this. But when they have their parents rooting them on from the sidelines, it really doesn't matter if you fail or not. When you have your mom, your dad, your sisters, your grandparents rooting you on, it doesn't matter if you fail. And so that's what you do for our kids who come into care. You're not just lending them your guest bedroom. You're not doing a good deed. That's not the legacy you're going to leave. You're going to make an imprint on their life forever because, you see, regardless of where you go or how high you climb, your parents are always in you. You can't get away from it. And I'm not suggesting that those who don't have their families will not succeed. There's many of you in here who have hit great heights without the support of your family. But I'm sure you can agree that when your family's with you, you sort of have this sense of ease and a sense of confidence that you probably couldn't have any other way. And so I want you to remember that the next time a child comes into your home. And I really applaud your bravery, and I salute your families for saying yes even when you want to say no. I know it's hard, and I know that your hesitation sometimes, is overwhelming, but I assure you that you are indeed world changers. You're making a mark on their life that will never be erased, and wherever they go, they're going to take you with them. You may never see your foster kids again, or you may end up adopting them, but they're going to have you in them forever. So, I tell you what, 29, 30 something years later, if I had to get on stage and hit those notes again, I would belt it out, and I really wouldn't be afraid because I know that my parents are back there shining the light on me, regardless if I can do it or not, and regardless if I sound like I'm skinning a cat. So if I had to, hit the notes and say, this little light of mine,
I'm gonna let it shine, this little light of
I
mine.
wouldn't be afraid because I know that I have their support. So thank you very much, everybody.